And hey, folks, welcome back to God. Where are we? We're at Park right here, our podcast. Katrina's still out for a little bit with some family matters. Everything is fine. Just keep her in your thoughts, if you would, please. Now, we like to say back by popular demand. Jim Allen, one of our ambassadors. I mean, he did such a great job the last time. I think at least two people said we'd like to see him again. So in our world, two people is a lot. So I'm going to say hi to Jim and let Jim start introducing himself, and we'll just take it from here. Go, Jim.
Well, that's an interesting way to do it. I'm Jim Allen. I live in Augusta, Georgia. I've been a Parkinson's person since December 2021, so I'm 66. And I got to come on before. I think we primarily talked about employment stuff when I was here before.
Yes, we did.
I spent most of my career as an employment attorney, so I've worked a lot with disabilities and such things as that. Since then, I've continued to play lots and lots of pickleball, and have become the president of our local Parkinson's support group, and otherwise staying pretty busy.
That's good. So I like the fact about pickleball because I'm playing now 5 times a week, and are you still every day?
I will play 6 times a week if I can, but because of the weather, I generally can't. Because
So you play outside?
Yeah.
Oh, we have an indoor court, which is great. Matter of fact, I'm playing from 7 to 9. Now, this is a first for me in pickleball. I was playing against another group. We played doubles, and they actually were talking together and like how to deal with Tom's return because I like to return them deep. And we have a great thing. I'll return them deep, and my partner will just kind of creep up to the front line if he can, and then he'll just take it home. We try to play off each other really well. But for people with Parkinson's, pickleball is good on so many levels: exercise, hand-eye coordination, all that good stuff.
Now you've got to get your partner corrected though. If you're returning serve, your partner should already be at the kitchen line.
Oh, that's true. Yes, because you're correct in that respect.
But if he's creeping up at that point, you better talk to your partner.
Well, are you guys dinkers or no dinkers?
I play pickleball. I dink when dinking's appropriate, and I bang when banging's appropriate.
Man, I like that. That's one of the best answers I've heard because I do the same thing. I dink when it looks like it's our advantage, and I try to hit the ball where you're not. I'm trying to progress from that power game to more of a finesse game.
Got to do it because those good players will just hit the ball back at you.
And that's the thing that I've learned is that here's the funny for those who haven't played pickleball yet. When you play your first time and you see someone like over 70 that's wearing knee braces and elbow braces, he's really good. Be careful of that person because it seems like the older you are and the more braces you have on your body, the better pickleball player you are.
There are a lot of players I've played with. They can't get to everything, but anything they can get to, they hit back really well.
Yeah. Someone told me if you're a good pickleball player, you never move your feet more than 3 steps.
Unless they lob it over your head, and then you pretty well got to.
Yeah, I'm getting a little frustrated with lobs because I'm 6'2", but I can get some lobs. But as you play better people, they get better lobs.
Lobbing is one of the most fun things. It's fun when they lob you because you get to run back and hit it back to them. And since I'm an old fat guy, when I run back and hit a lob back, they're all surprised. So,
so your offense is the surprise.
You can hit it back. What's that?
Your offense is just to surprise them because they don't think you're going to hit it.
Yeah, people hit a good lob and they assume the point's over because they play so many people who don't chase lobs down.
Yeah, same here. I mean, there's one guy I play with who he's got some minor issues and he can't move that well. But he says, Tom, when we play, goes, I'm only moving 2 feet. So instead of playing my court, I play my court and like a quarter of his court, just to try to complement where he can play. But it's fun. And again, we go off on a tangent. When I first started playing pickleball, I didn't want anybody to know I had Parkinson's because I didn't want to be seen as the guy with Parkinson's. So
I remember you told me that.
But what was interesting now is I've told people now, and you know what? For those out there who are afraid to say you have Parkinson's, it doesn't change anything. I was afraid of something that wasn't going to happen. But the nice thing is we bust each other's chops a lot because that's what men do. And so I missed a serve the other day, and the guy said, he yelled at me, goes, don't say you stink, or don't say blame it on Parkinson's, you just stink. I'm like, okay, I like that. Because I felt I was fully accepted at that point where they're actually making fun of me. Because that's where, if you can be made fun of, then you can give it back to somebody.
There you go. So what have
Jim,
you been up to? Oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
so yesterday I went to see my neurologist yesterday. I
Oh,
see him
good.
every 6 months. And we talk about having a relationship with our doctor. So I had an appointment at 11. My wife went with me this time because she's seeing things. I've been diagnosed 8.5 years ago now. So she's
Yeah.
seeing things I don't see. So it was really good that we went together. So I get there a little before 11. He comes out and he gives me a hug, and I hug him back. And then we go back to the room and we talk for almost an hour. I mean, it was great. And he gets me. If that's this funny thing, is he gets me and I get him. So we were just joking back and forth. A lot of good information. So what we decided was, because I'm starting to show, I'm having, after 8.5 years, I feel almost bad saying this. I'm now starting to have more off time than I did before. I don't think I had a lot of off time, but now I'm getting the off time. And he sees some slight dyskinesia in me.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're trying to do now is adjust our meds. I was taking the carbidopa levodopa 1.5 tablets 4 times a day. I'm still taking the same amount, but now I'm taking one every 3 hours. And I take itacapone. I take those two together now every 3 hours. And then I work my normal meds into that cycle. So we're taking it 6 times a day. It's kind of like becoming Ritari without becoming Ritari.
So you're taking 6 carbidopa levodopa a day?
Yeah, total of 6.
Yeah, I take 5. I take them every 3 hours. I take 5 a day. I take my first one at 7 in the morning and my last one at 7 at night.
Well, I'm pretty much the same with you, but I was breaking it up into 4 times. 7. I was taking 7, 11, 3, and again at 7. But
yes,
I also take
7, 10, 1, 4, and 7.
I was also taking Requip, which we've been backing off on. It's a dopamine agonist. So I'm taking 1 4 milligram in the morning and then 1 4 milligram before going to bed. And so, but it was nice because I like the way my neurologist approaches things. He starts with the least resistance, if you will, and then he works his way up. So it's like if you have a backache, you take an aspirin. If the aspirin doesn't work, you maybe take a Tylenol and you take something else. So he started me off in the beginning with just a dopamine agonist, and then we added the carbidopa levodopa. Then we added a couple more things, but now we're at the point where we're trying to get back off some of those things. And one of the conversations he had, which I felt like it was a really good conversation, was, Tom, if you're taking the carbidopa levodopa and you're starting to see small signs of dyskinesia, which would you prefer, the dyskinesia or the tremors? And I was like, that's a really good question. I said, if I had to ask the difference at this point, I would prefer tremors over dyskinesia, because I don't know why. I just feel like when I see people with dyskinesia, I'm like, I don't want to be this guy. I don't want to offend anybody, but I don't want to be the guy that does not have the control over his body. I'd rather do a little bit of this than do a lot of that. So he also said there are other medications, mantidine and other things we can do. So I'm gonna basically keep a nice journal over the next 6 months about how this change in medication impacts my Parkinson's, good or bad. And then he said, what I like about him, we can always talk on the portal. I can email him, and I usually get a response back within 1 day.
Yeah, that they're good on the portals.
And next, on Friday, I went to a Parkinson's symposium that was being held by one of our local Christiana Care in northern Delaware.
Yeah,
and it was a good. Pardon me?
Yeah, you told me you were going to that.
Yeah. So they have two motion disorder specialists, who are the only two in the state of Delaware, and they happen to be 2.5 hours from me. But they're really good people. They did a great presentation. What was really nice is after lunch, we just did roundtable discussion. So each day, like 4 or 5 different people, and you spend a half hour just one-on-one with the doctor or neurologist or someone from this. And to me, that was the best part about it. And I made like 5 new friends because I like to make friends. And if everything works out well, the two movement disorder specialists will be on the podcast. I met a lady who I just hung up on about a half hour ago. She went up on stage and she turned her DBS off, and she became like this. And so what was interesting, then her daughter had to turn it back on because she's like this.
But she can't turn it on.
So I came up to her afterwards and said, I just want to say what you did was extremely powerful. I very rarely see people who have the courage to stand up in front of 230 strangers and turn their DBS off. And you did it because you wanted to show people what DBS was like. And so I started talking a little more. I said, you a podcast, I'd love to have you on it. And we talked for an hour today. And I'm like, I feel at the end, I said, I think I just made a new friend. And she goes, I feel the same way. So she's going to do the podcast. And then I talked to some of the professionals there, like one guy who his company does the focus ultrasound. which I find interesting. And I talked to my doctor about it because in my mind, I was thinking the focused ultrasound is probably like the first step is you get diagnosed, then they start giving you medication. And then after the medication, if it gets too much dopamine and you have the dyskinesia, then they do deep brain surgery and, you get 10 years back. But I thought ultrasound may be a step before the DBS because it's much more simpler in and out. But so what the two different neurologists said is it could be, depending on your particular circumstances, it could be an alternative DBS, but it doesn't replace DBS.
No, my understanding is it's being used for people who don't qualify for DBS or don't want DBS.
Okay. I didn't know if we talked about that, but I can see it because they didn't say it's exclusive. Now, one person who was a fellow Parkinson's person said, if you have DBS, if you have the focused ultrasound, it precludes you from having DBS, which I found out was not the case. They may have to try a slightly different version, but if you needed to have DBS, you could still have DBS.
It's my understanding that focused ultrasound is still only done unilaterally.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I didn't go that far yet because I don't want to go that far yet.
It's only done on one side of the brain. It's not done on both sides, because if you did it on both sides, you'd kill both parts of the brain. Because what you focused ultrasound does is it kills that part of the brain.
Right, and then it's like a lesion, if I understand it correctly, with the focused ultrasound.
Yeah, so it destroys the part of the brain that does the tremor. So you don't have the tremor anymore, but you don't want to destroy it on both sides of the brain. So that's why it's primarily used for essential tremor. That's what it's designed for.
Yeah, but I hear people, they have nothing but good. Everyone I've talked to that had DBS thinks it changed their life. But to me, it's the scariest thing ever,
Well, I know many people who have had a good experience with it, and I know some people who have not.
Yeah.
It doesn't always work. It doesn't. It sometimes causes trouble, and sometimes they have to take it out and redo it, and sometimes it just sits there and is never used. So it's like any other.
Last week, we tried doing a DBS session last week. I had 3 people scheduled to come on, one who just had it, one who had it like 4 months ago, and one who's considering having it. And 2 of them couldn't make it. So I just had the one. So one of the fellow ambassadors, Julie, her and I talked for an hour yesterday. And she falls into that category of great respect because she was an open book. She said every question someone had, she answered. And she didn't hide anything. She was very, you meet people like that within this community. And it's amazing. I keep becoming in awe of people like that.
There's not any reason in the world for a person with Parkinson's to not be open about it.
Right.
It's not your fault. You didn't cause it. It's just something happening, and any information that you can give to help somebody else, you ought to be willing to give.
Yeah, you made a comment like that earlier, and I really like the way you put it.
It doesn't make any sense to be embarrassed. So if you've got a DBS, from my point of view, I don't have DBS, but if you had a DBS, showing other people how it works would be sort of the whole point of going to an event like that. And the only way to show them how it works is to show them what happens when it doesn't work.
Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it, because you're right. Sometimes I go to the doctor and he'll say, "Is this medication working?" I'm like, well, I don't know. I can't. Been on it for 3 years. The only way I know, if you stop me on the medication, then I'll let you know if there's a difference.
Have you ever been tempted to do a washout and just not take any of your meds?
I have. See, to me, I look at the medications as maintenance medications. It's not going to stop or slow or do anything. They're just going to add that dopamine and protect the dopamine that I have. So there are times that I may not take my dopamine just to see, my meds, if you will, generically, just to see what I'd be like. But I never actually thought about just like going off the deep end and not taking them all.
Because I've thought about that. The possibility of just, okay, I'm just not going to take any carbidopa, levodopa for a whole day.
Yeah.
And just see what happens, or maybe for 2 days and see what happens. I don't mean for a week. I was talking with Vanderbilt about a study they were doing, and the way the study would work is you would go in and you'd be on your meds, and they would do an exam, and then you would go off of your carbidopa levodopa for a week.
Okay.
And you would be seen every day. And they were tracking how you did during this, what they called a washout, when all the carbidopa levodopa would be out of your system and you would be totally back to where you started, where you would be without any medication. And then, of course,
Well,
they put you back.
What about things like I take Artane, I take Requip, I take a Tacopone? Do you just go cold turkey on everything?
You wouldn't take the entacapone because the only purpose of the entacapone is to extend the carbidopa levodopa.
Correct. So those two are joined in together.
But the rest of it you would still take. But they were just, it was a test on medications for early Parkinson's people. They didn't qualify me for the test, which was unfortunate. I got very close to being qualified. I was looking forward to doing it. But it's one of those things I think about sometimes, but I don't think I will ever do it because I know the issues that I have even with the meds that I take, and I'm taking 5 a day, and that's not nothing. So
yeah. Well, I guess in a sense that you said these are, once the drugs are out of your system, they're out of the system. But at the same point is like when I take my dopamine, I start feeling my off time about, so if I'm taking drugs every 4 hours, about 3.5 hours, 3 hours, 45 minutes, I start feeling the off time. But I try to wait the 4, or the 4-hour period, and I take my meds. And usually about 15, 20 minutes later, I can feel the difference. So I've got that, that little window there, the half-hour window of not being on my meds. And so to a certain extent,
go ahead.
I get like a tremor in my left leg and a burning sensation in the thigh or in the calf. So, but I like the idea of maybe doing like you said, a washout just for a few days to see how that would impact you.
But I just haven't come up with the courage or the commitment that it would be worthwhile to do. So, talking pickleball, go ahead.
You can take baby steps. Take baby steps. You don't do it in the morning. You don't do it in the afternoon, and you see how you feel. And then if you're feeling like then you can always take your midday or your 3rd round of drugs.
I think the morning would be all I would need. I have noticed that because I don't take anything after 7 at night, so I don't take anything to go to bed on or anything of that sort. And when I get up in the morning, I have a very difficult time typing, and I don't think it's tremor.
Like this, trying to type.
Yeah, and I think it's as much rigidity as it is anything. I've begun to have more trouble with rigidity lately. So
I had that issue too. If I'm sitting too long or something, I've got to get up and move because I just feel myself stiffening up.
Yeah. So I was going to say, I played some pickleball Monday with a couple that my brother and I know this couple, and we've known him because we played tennis with him for years, and she has now been diagnosed with Parkinson's. She's younger than I am. She's been diagnosed for 2 years, but we met at their country club and played pickleball Monday morning and had a really good visit. And she's doing well with her Parkinson's, but it was good to get to know them a little bit better and play a little pickleball with them.
My neighbor plays pickleball, and it's funny, he's been here about a year and a half, and I diagnosed him with Parkinson's, which was because I could see the tremors in his arm, and he was saying that when he's stressed, they get worse because he thought it was stress related. And I said, Paul, I need you to go see a neurologist. There's a couple local they're not MDSs, but they're good neurologists. And he's, what are they going to do? I said, well, they're going to probably have you do this and touch your nose, and they're going to do some testing on you. Yeah, all this good stuff. And what most likely this doctor will say is he maybe wants you to get an MRI, a CAT scan, an X-ray, blood work, and he may even consider a DAT scan. But don't do the DAT scan because it's expensive. Call your insurance company first. Yeah. And that it was, well, so I said they may give you some medication, probably dopamine, which is carbidopa levodopa, because if you try that and the tremors slow down, then they're pretty much sure it's Parkinson's. It's cheaper than a DAT scan. So about a week or so after that, he knocks on my door. He hands me $20. I said, "What's this?" He goes, "The copay." He did everything he said he was going to do. Yeah. And by the way, I took $20.
There you go. Oh, so let's see what else is going on in the world. I told you about my PD Jeopardy game.
Yeah, I'm very interested in that because that's one of the things my wife and I, we watch Jeopardy every night if we can.
Let me see if I can do this. Can I share a
For
screen?
me, Jeopardy is just a way of showing how much lack of intelligence I have, because I'm in awe of these people. How could they know so much about so many minute pieces of information?
Let's see if I can figure. Yeah, I want to see if I can figure out which screen to share here.
Okay.
Okay, window. There we go. No, it doesn't like me to do that. Never mind. It's not going to let me do it.
Let's see if I can.
Oh, I have to do some permission. It's going to tell me I have to give permission for something here. Let me see if I can do that. Let's see. Window.
Oh.
Let me see if I can get the permission here.
Give me 1 second. I got to move my router.
All righty. All right, let's see if it'll work now.
Trouble up here with my internet connection.
No.
I'm still. Oh, there we go. I think I'm back.
You got it figured out. It looks like it's not going to let me do it.
Yep.
I would have to restart the whole
thing. Now, this is one of the things with Parkinson's that bothers me to express what I want to say at times, and I'm right. I'm seeing a little squirrely thing, but for the life of me, I can't remember. Let's see if I can.
I'll show it to you next time we get on. I had to give permission for Google.
Okay.
Yeah. Once I give permission, I have to restart it. So.
Oh, the permission's on your side?
Yep. But I have to restart Chrome.
I wonder.
Have to come out.
Well, is it a link that you have?
No, it's a PowerPoint program.
But how do you get the Jeopardy game? Oh, okay. It's PowerPoint. Okay, because I thought it was a link.
No,
I thought maybe it was a link I could try linking on my side.
No, I've created this one.
Yeah,
I've used PowerPoint for Jeopardy in teaching before, in teaching in church, in teaching classes, and I figured it would be a useful thing to use in Parkinson's as well. So I went ahead and created one. I haven't had a chance to use it yet.
So you have the categories and you have numbers assigned each category.
Yeah. So I have categories. Yeah, the categories are PD 101, symptoms, famous persons with Parkinson's, PD terminology, exercise, and PD humor.
I'll take exercise for 100, Jim.
That would actually be the answer would be continuous rhythmic activity like cycling, brisk walking, or swimming.
What is high intensity exercise?
What is aerobic activity?
Okay. Oh, what was that ding ding?
That means that's the answer. That's the sound that comes up when you have an answer.
I thought the answer was wrong. Let's try.
The way it's designed to run so that you can do it with a group of people online, and then when the answer is given, it will make the little ding. I'm probably going to take the dings out because they seem kind of annoying to me.
Yeah. Oh, so let's do Parkinson's humor for 200, Jim.
Oh, let me go back to it here. Let me see if I can get it back to where I want it to be. Okay. It keeps doing that. Parkinson's humor. How people with Parkinson's finalize a business deal.
They shake on it.
There you go. You got it right.
I like that. Let's do it for 300, Jim. So we
The
can play the
PD.
game.
So PD humor.
Humor
Taylor
free.
Swift's best Parkinson's song.
Shake it up.
Shake It Off.
Or shake it off. Okay.
Yep. Try another one.
Yeah, let's try for 400, Jim. Maybe I get a daily double.
What a Parkinson's parent serves for breakfast.
Scrambled eggs.
No, what is a milkshake?
Oh, that'd be like a late afternoon snack.
No, because in the morning you get milk. But with the Parkinson's parents, you get a milkshake. All right, the next one is laughter helps people with Parkinson's overcome this Parkinson's symptom.
Lack of humor? No.
Facial masking.
I don't know. Oh yeah. So I was joking. I went at the workshop I went to. We were talking to some ladies in there, and they're at the coffee bar. And I said, "It's funny." So I walked up to you ladies. I didn't know if you're excited to see me or you had Parkinson's because you were shaking. And they're like, "No, it's because we have Parkinson's."
I will tell you, one of the most annoying things to me in the world of Parkinson's is the Parkinson's humor, because it's always shaking.
Oh, true.
And I just get so tired of it. I'm tired of hearing how you'd be a great bartender and how you like your martini shaken and stirred. You know, there's just a point where shaking is no longer funny. It's just sort of a pitiful attempt to make humor out of something that just can't be humorous all the time.
Well, then I'm gonna give you my last shaking thing. So one of those mean Republicans and his staff are going to a Parkinson's support group meeting, and they're not looking forward to a friendly, event because they're against federal funding for more Parkinson's research. So, but there's a large constituency,
I'll be honest
and they want to go.
I don't know anyone that's against federal funding for more Parkinson's research. But go
ahead.
Well,
this is part of the joke. You just got to go suspend your. So, anyways, as they're going into the room, the congressman looks in and then looks at his aide and says, "I think it's okay. They're all waving to us."
Oh, there you go. I had that happen in a. I had that happen in a pickleball game. Yeah, I was standing there waiting. The guy on the other side had the ball, and it was my serve, and so I held my hand up for him to go throw the ball to me, and of course shaking, and he waved at me.
Oh,
because he thought I was waving at him.
That's funny.
And I just laughed and I said, "No, it's just Parkinson's." And you go, "I'm sorry." But when I hold up,
the fact that you can laugh at yourself, that's good, because I think that's the true nature of this. If you can laugh at yourself, then you can take that humor and work with it.
And to be honest, and this is a more personal kind of a thing. From my perspective, my greatest fear as a person with Parkinson's is what I'm going to do when this becomes a lot harder.
Yeah, same here.
It's one thing to be able to keep my sense of humor now. I'm not sure that, if I make another 15 years of this, if it's going to be the same, or even another 10 years of this. And there comes a point at which it's going to become much more work to view this in a positive way.
I agree.
I was looking at something the other day. This will get in the highfalutin world. I was looking at something the other day on Immanuel Kant's categorical imperative. I know you're all familiar with Immanuel Kant's work.
That's a little bedtime reading.
Immanuel Kant's categorical imperative was an easy way to say it is this: that you have to treat every person as an end and not a means.
Okay. I like that.
You can't treat people as means to things. They must be treated as ends in themselves. They are the purpose of what you're doing.
I really like that.
And it occurs to me that as a person with Parkinson's, this is going to be a very important concept in dealing with caregivers over the years. that it is not, I am not to view them as people who exist to care for me. They are to be viewed as people for whom I exist to care.
Now, out of curiosity, when you say caregivers, do you envision your wife as a caregiver?
Yeah, well, she currently would be a care partner, but I expect that eventually, if she lives long enough and I live long enough, she'll be a caregiver.
See, that's the distinction I was trying to make, because I never would think of my wife as a caregiver. She's my care partner.
Yeah, and that's how I think of it now.
That's why I asked. Second, I got a couple of text messages from some of our ambassadors.
Yeah, because you see people more advanced in the condition, and oftentimes what you see is a fair amount of anger, and you can become very restrictive in the way that you think, be very focused on yourself and your own suffering, and that's not something I want to have happen to me. So that's one of the things that concerns me. I have that probably it's not the physical thing that concerns me as much as how I'm going to treat people, and part of that comes from my faith. Just because I know my obligations are the same. I posted something the other day. You still having trouble with your link? There we go. I posted something the other day.
I keep.
You're trying to figure it out. It's like fixing the antenna on your TVs in the old days. I was thinking the other day that Parkinson's is not a shield. Okay. It doesn't protect me from anything. It doesn't protect me from arthritis or diabetes or cancer or toe fungus or anything. It's not a shield that protects me from people. It doesn't protect me from difficulties. But because it's not a shield, it's also not something I can hide behind. So I can't hide behind Parkinson's and justify failing to love God and love my neighbor, because those are the two great commandments. I can't hide behind Parkinson's in order to avoid my commitment to my wife, to love and to cherish and to spend my life trying to make her life better. I can't hide behind Parkinson's as a justification for failing to let my mother and my brothers and sisters and my children and grandchildren know that I love them.
So I like that very much.
Not a shield because it doesn't protect me, but it's also not a shield I can hide behind. I still have to live my life.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to try to get my Chromebook, so you keep entertaining everybody for 2 minutes. I'll be right back.
You want me to do karaoke? Is that what you do?
Yeah.
Get to learn if I can host anything. If there is anyone still watching now that Tom has snuck out of the room, as I said, I have become the president of our local support group, and I am surprised at how many people do not participate in support groups, how many people have nothing that they do that ties them to the Parkinson's communities. Support groups are very important for getting into the community and learning from people. Parkinson's is a very complex subject for scientists, but it's really not complex for us. For us, it's very personal. And we have to do what we can do to make the Parkinson's livable. And part of that involves getting to know people and doing that through support groups. But that can be very difficult to do if you've made up your mind not to go. I'm just giving them a lecture on support groups.
Okay.
And what you'll find in support groups is that sometimes they're really good and sometimes they're really annoying. Sometimes they have speakers and sometimes they have bad speakers and sometimes they have good speakers who just don't talk about what you said they said they were going to talk about. So why are we setting up our new computer here, Tom?
I have a laptop, a Windows-based laptop that's about 8 years old, and I'm not quite sure the way my son put it, but it doesn't really support the higher band. So this is a Chromebook, which is much better, but I usually generally don't like working in Chrome. because I'm used to my Excel. I'm used to Outlook and Excel, but I tend to have better connection with this. So let's do this first. I'm just going to go. I'm going to log in as a guest, and then I'll disconnect from here. See, this is what you get when you get to go to a free podcast.
There you go.
Okay, so mic is working. I'm going to enter the studio, and I'm going to get out of this studio. Ooh, see the difference? This is interesting. This is my Chromebook, right? This one's Chromebook, and the other one.
I can't see anything that happened. I would still see the same screen I saw before.
Okay, let me get out of this one.
There's just me.
Okay.
Back to me.
Myself to the screen.
Oh, there you are on the other side. There you are.
And
there you are.
Okay, now. Okay, let's do this now. Okay. Am I there?
You're here. You moved to the other side of the screen.
Okay, let's see.
There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I can hear you. Okay, so now I'm on my Chromebook.
What a deal.
Yeah.
It's such a technological whiz.
Well, it's funny, not because we always go off tangent on these things, but we set up a mesh router because the modem is downstairs. I'm on the second floor. So the mesh router is supposed to basically connect it to, it's like an amplifier, if you will.
Yeah.
And so I even went so far as getting a USB an Ethernet connection. And I went right from the back of the modem or the router into my computer. And my speeds are just, my up and download speeds are just really slow. And I just feel like it's like I'm driving an old car trying to keep up with a new car.
Yeah.
So I just, at some point, I'm going to have to look and get myself another. See, I'm not, some people say I'm cheap. I like to say I'm frugal. I got to find something that I need that fits my needs and for that point, and then just go ahead and get that.
Yeah. And if you're going to do computer stuff, you just got to buy new computers.
Yeah. My son and my daughter are both, I'm going to say in a positive way, they both work in the computer world. My son has his own little servers that he works with, and I'm just amazed at how smart they are as it comes to the internet world and computer world. My daughter once said to me, "Dad, you're really good with computers, but you suck at social media." So,
well, I use MacBook. I use Apple products for all of mine because everything works together so well.
Yeah. See, I was looking at the other day. I'm on my phone. I'm on my iPhone, using going through Google Chrome, trying to do a Windows application. Microsoft application. It was like, I'm thinking, how the hell is this working? How are these 3 different platforms interacting with each other?
Well, what I use a MacBook computer. I buy Windows. I buy Windows Office.
Okay.
Microsoft Office, and I use it in my MacBook.
And it has the same feel and functionality as an Excel, like Excel feels.
It's exactly the same.
Okay.
So I use PowerPoint instead of Keynote because I find PowerPoint to be a more powerful program than Keynote. Keynote's the Apple version, but I've done stuff in Keynote when someone needs me to do it in Keynote for them. But I enjoy it because everything works together.
Yeah.
My iPhone. So if I'm at the doctor, and I saw my movement disorder specialist on Friday. So when they set my next appointment, I just put it in my phone. It's automatically uploaded to my MacBook. It's automatically uploaded to my Apple Watch and my iPad. So all my calendars look the same. And that's nice to have all of those things together. So I have found it very useful to have just one platform on which everything can be done.
Yeah, I like the fact that they work in the same, because I like Outlook because I'm familiar with Outlook. I like Excel because I'm familiar with Excel. I don't do a lot in Word or PowerPoint, so those aren't as important to me. But I do a lot. I like Excel. I like my spreadsheets.
Yep. Excel. I use Excel for spreadsheets. I use Google Mail. I use Gmail for my mail because it's easier to use. But for me, at least, it's easier to use. So I've gone purely into the Apple world now.
So you took a bite of the apple. Now you're in.
And I got to tell you, that Apple Watch has been the best purchase I've made in a long time.
Yeah, it can pretty much track so much, can it?
It can. And whether or not this is useful, in some, existential sense, I don't know. But I like being able to see how much I slept last night.
Yeah.
I like being able to see how many calories, at least in some estimate, that I burned, how much time I spent playing pickleball today, how much, did I stand enough today or did I sit too long? I like to have those things in front of me so that I can know what's happening in my world. And it all uploads. So when I get up in the morning, if I pull out my iPad, everything from my sleep the night before uploads to my iPad, and I can look at it all there. And I like being able to do that. I have found it very helpful for me.
I was doing a small project on electronic diaries. And one of the issues I was trying to raise is they're like, well, should you post your diary a couple, 3 times a day? And if you do, you want a day to feed that into you want your primary care neurologist to see that information? I'm like, no, because it's information overload.
It's too much data.
If I see my doctor every 6 months, it's 180 days. If I give 2 points of data every day, that's 360 points of data. Do you think he's going to have time to read 360 points of data and see if there's any rhyme or reason to the data? He's not.
No. What I've been told is they want 2 to 3 weeks of journaling before an appointment. Mm-hmm. That's what they want to know.
I kind of do that in a sense because what I'll do is before my appointment, about 3 or 4 days before the appointment, I'll sit down and type in on the program what things I want to discuss, what's bothering me. So when I walk in, we're ready to go. I kind of like efficiencies in that respect.
Yeah.
I don't want to walk in, and I know he has such a short time. In my case, maybe a bit longer time window, but I want to use that window to the best of my advantage, and not having him say to me, "Tom, spend 15 minutes telling me what's going on."
Well, the most interesting thing with my movement disorder specialist is it's at the Center of Excellence at Augusta University, so it's a teaching hospital. So the first thing you always get is another doctor who is doing a rotation through that area. They come in and they interview you, and they do all the little tests and all those things. And so you explain it all to them, and then they go and talk to him, and then he comes in. Now, with my doctor, he actually has Parkinson's.
Oh, yeah.
Specialist. He's further into it than I am. He's about 4.5 years into it. And because of that, to some degree, and he and I have hit it off pretty well, you can talk with him in a way, and you can say, this is how it feels. And he goes, I know what you mean. This is what it does with me.
And that's the one thing I like about the Parkinson's community is, while we may not know exactly everything that's going on, we're pretty well versed. If you say this is what's going on with me, I can generally understand and maybe appreciate what that is.
So he will, and then he'll do the little tests too, and have you do the walk.
I like the walk.
Although, to be honest, the walk bothers me in one sense. How am I supposed to walk?
Normally.
Well, but see, that doesn't answer my question. Am I supposed to walk the way I've been taught to walk?
No.
I'm supposed to walk without any attempt to walk that way. And that's how I normally do it. I just walk normally without controlling anything. The other thing is the rigidity has become interesting because my hands curl up now. So if I'm walking, my hand will curl up so that it's, like that. It doesn't hurt. But to open it requires effort, whereas the other hand is fine. So
you're left side dominant?
Yeah. Well, I'm left side Parkinson's. I'm right side dominant, but left side Parkinson's.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. Yes.
And it'll curl up on the right side too. But he said, yeah, that's. I was thinking it was a kind of a small dystonia. But he said, no, that's just rigidity.
So I do those questionnaires, like one question overall. How do you feel in the last week, or how do you see? I feel fine. But I like tell the doctor, I can't answer these questions because if you're asking me how I feel, is that how I feel as someone with Parkinson's, or is that how I feel with somebody with? When you say how do I feel, I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah,
I have Parkinson's, so I feel like crap. But all things equal, I feel pretty good.
So what is your pain? 1 to 10? It's like so. So I figured out that 10 means I'm screaming my head off, passing out.
Yeah.
And I use that as a level. But see, and there are all sorts of things. I've been having knee pain lately. And one of the best things my doctor told me the first on diagnosis day, because I asked him the question, when do I see you and when do I talk to another doctor?
Mm-hmm.
The symptom arises. And he said, you always talk to another doctor first. Always.
Is that to get a different non-Parkinson's opinion?
He said, because anything that happens to you is not likely to be Parkinson's. It is likely to be something that happens to everyone in the world. So if you have pain in your knee, go to an orthopedist. If you have a runny nose, go to an ENT doctor. So I was having a constant runny nose, and all these people were saying, oh, that's just a Parkinson's kind of thing. So I went to the doctor. There was a growth in my nose. It had to be surgically removed and no more runny nose.
And it had nothing to do with Parkinson's.
Nothing to do with Parkinson's. I had a little growth in my neck. And I'm going, what is this? Well, it was a blocked salivary gland. So they took it out. And so now there's no problem there.
I remember when I first was diagnosed, I was having muscle pain and such. So I went to a pain specialist. And he's like, well, why are you here? What do you hope to accomplish? I said, well, first of all, you're the doctor.
I'd like to get rid of the pain.
I said, but the way I look at it is I'm hoping that you can tell me where the pain originates from. He goes, well, why is that important? I said, well, I want to go, duh. I said, well, if you tell me it's from Parkinson's, then I can talk to my neurologist. And maybe I need to adjust my meds or do something different. If you say it's related to something else, then maybe I can go see a physical therapist. But what I need, instead of a shotgun approach, I'm trying to get you to give me more of a bullseye approach so I know how to move forward with it. And that's the way I look at things. Once I have to understand something before I can manage it. And once I understand it, then I can manage it. And then it becomes part of my routine. I'm like, I can't manage this pain because I don't know where it's coming from. So if I don't know where it's coming from, how am I supposed to manage it? And I just want to duh.
Well, I had about a month and a half ago, I started developing a really severe knee pain, right knee pain. Just hurt like the dickens. It didn't hurt while I was playing pickleball. But if I was sitting in my car and I drive 30 minutes, when I get up, it felt swollen and tough.
Because it was not mobile?
And it was a constant pain. So I finally went to an orthopedist, and it's arthritis. He said, that's what it is. It's just arthritis. And since I can't take anything that will get rid of the inflammation, because I'm on Plavix for these small ischemic stroke things that they have.
Oh.
So I'm on Plavix. So he says, we'll just give you a shot. So they gave me a shot in my knee, did it wonderfully. It didn't hurt at all. And the next day, my knee doesn't hurt anymore.
Yeah.
Man, this is the thing to do. You just got to go to these doctors.
Right. I had a physical therapist that I got frustrated with at one point, and I actually left because when I had back surgery, and then after the back surgery, I was still having some pain issues. And so I went to the physical therapy for my back per se. Well, after he would start with these exercises, and I would say, well, this hurts, because they're back exercises, this hurt. So we went down from like this many exercises to like this. And at one point I asked him a question. I said, well, what I've noticed was when I walk forward, I have this type of pain. But when I walk backwards, I have this type of pain. And he looked at me and goes, what do you think that means? I said, I don't know. You're the physical therapist. What do you think that means? And then I said, well, in my mind, you engage a certain muscle, whatever, when you walk forward, and when you walk backwards, it's different. Maybe if we find what muscles are common to both directions, then they may give you some insight as to what's causing the pain. He goes, that's a really good idea. I said, well, again, I'm not a neurologist. But it turned out that I found out a little bit I needed to have a hip replacement. So all the pain was coming from the hip.
Yeah.
And so when I said at this point, there's nothing you can do for the hip as far as physical therapy. I just have to, so I stopped going. But he goes, are you going to come back for physical therapy after the hip? I said, no, I'm sorry, I'm not. He goes, why? I said, well, you're a good physical therapist, but it never occurred to you that it could be anything other than my back. And I can't live in the world where people that I need to rely on don't have the vision or the open box, if you will, to see what could possibly be as opposed to what they see it is.
Did you get the hip replacement?
Yeah, I tell you what, it was the best thing I ever did in my life.
I bet it was. You did do physical therapy afterward, didn't you?
Yep. And so the hip replacement, how long do you think it took to have from the time they wheeled me in to the time they wheeled me out?
No idea.
It's like less than an hour.
They just take it out and put it in, don't they?
And the guy says, yeah. And he goes, well, basically what we do is we make the incision, we cut like the part out, and we like put a shaft into the femur, and then on top of the shaft, then we have the little cup, if you will, and then we put the cup on the hip, and We put the little ball in there and we connect everything. We send you home. It was like, and it was to the point where I honestly, at times I couldn't walk. I mean, I was back on either I was using a cane or stroller. The pain was, and no one, even the couple doctors I went to, picked up on the fact that it was my back or my hip. And it got me wondering with specialists. I mean, I like specialists, but I don't, because like if I go see a back doctor and I'm saying I have these pains, he's only looking at my spine. He's not looking 12 inches to the left or 12 inches to the right and see that there's no cartilage around the ball on my left hip. And that's what I mean, it's the same. And what the one doctor I went to took this, I wanted to get one more back opinion. He took the standard back, x-ray. He comes and he goes, you don't need back surgery. He goes, I've looked at the x-ray, your back looks fine. He goes, well, he had me lay on the table and I took my right leg and he went like this and it felt fine. Took my left leg, went like this, putting pressure on the hip, and I jumped off the table. He goes, what you need is hip replacement. And then he showed me the x-ray and you could see on the right side, I call it like a donut. You could see the cartilage around the ball. On the left side, there was no donut. There was just bone on bone. And I'm like, how did you do that? He goes, did you take a special x-ray? Because I took the standard back x-ray. But for some reason, he looked 6 inches to his left instead of just looking straight at this. Yeah. And those things frustrate the hell out of me, because I almost had a third back surgery because of that.
Yeah, I do. I've had really good luck with my doctors here, better than I've had anywhere else I've ever lived. Very good medical care. It's part of it is my brother is a doctor in the community, and so I usually get good referrals.
Okay.
The Parkinson's place is a center of excellence, so they give me really good referrals. And just generally, I've had very good care here. And I've learned, the difference between physical therapy through the neurology clinic and physical therapy through the orthopedic clinic, because they don't know what each other do.
That's a good point.
And an orthopedic physical therapist can do a lot more for your knees and your back than the neurology physical therapist, but you got to go to all of them.
Well, I like to do this because this is one of our fellow ambassadors who wrote this book called Parkinson's, how to reduce symptoms through exercise.
Great book.
And so she put some of the comments that she made, because initially, this is how I work. I saw a YouTube video of her talking. I said, I like this person. She's an ambassador. So I call her up and say, can we chat? And we start talking. And I start talking and I start asking questions. And then she was telling me that she was writing this book. I said, well, I'd love to proofread it. So she sends me a copy and I proofread it. And I like, this is what I like. This is what I don't like. And so she goes, it was interesting because I didn't like the stories. I'm a numbers guy. I wanted to go right to the data.
That's the way I am. The stories are like,
And she said, well, the stories, she shows you have both. I said, I understand, but I just want to let you know my opinion. I'm a numbers guy. Just, when I read something from the NIH, I like to go straight to the abstract or straight to the conclusion and not read the 40 pages in between. I just want to know what you're going to tell me and what the answer was. But the thing that she said that was very interesting is she's been giving this to neurologists, and they're like, I never knew this. I mean, she's educating neurologists about exercise with Parkinson's. And that goes into one of my biggest pet peeves, because it's all subjective. But when someone says any exercise is good exercise, there, in some respect, that's true, because doing something is better than doing nothing. But Parkinson's exercise is not just walking around the block with your dog. And I understand that someone who's 80 years old can't have the same physical or exercise regimen as somebody who's 60. Oops, there's my wife. You need to close that? Yep, she needs to close the door. I see I tend to be loud. I was born big and loud, by the way. I don't need to take that class. But I just lost track of what I was saying. Oh, about the exercise. Yeah. But so to me, I gather you're dealing with people with various degrees, but to say that any exercise is good exercise without putting it in a better context just really gets me angry.
You have people. I understand part of it because it's so recent. The research is so recent. And I understand that, doctors can't be caught up on everything either. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the exercise stuff, it is important. And one of the hardest things for me, Tom, and I know we're going to run out of time here soon, is this: the Parkinson's community is diverse in a way that no other universe of people is diverse. Mm-hmm. It is everybody.
It's equal opportunity.
It is all ages. It is all classes. It's all economic statuses. It's all nations. It's all language groups.
Yeah.
It's everybody. And so I'm on these Parkinson's discussion groups, and somebody will come on the group and they'll say, well, my mother with Parkinson's is having trouble, and we're looking for some things that she can do. Do you have any suggestions? And my first question is, how old is she? How advanced is she?
Right.
Is she 90 years old? Is she 70 years old? Is she 20 years old? I don't know. I watched the Davis Finney thing the other day with a woman who had DBS when she was 21.
Wow. I didn't see that one.
When you've been diagnosed in your teens and had DBS at 21, your experience is not the same as somebody who's 65 years old and just diagnosed. Mm-hmm. So everything we tell people, we are telling to a huge group of people who have absolutely nothing in common with us except that they have Parkinson's.
I agree. I always thought that if we went to a large room and asked people what kind of medication you're taking, no one in that room would be taking the same medication in the same dosages.
Everything is different. So all the exercise recommendations are great, and as she does a good job in the book of explaining, you have to take into account who you are.
Right.
And I think that's really hard for doctors to do for us because they don't have the time. Mm-hmm. And I'm very defensive regarding doctors. People say, well, the doctor never told me this, or the doctor never told me that. The doctor can't tell you everything. It's your job. You've got to go learn this stuff.
You have to advocate for yourself. In an extent, you've got to learn. You can't expect your doctor to be everything to you because that's not what his role is.
That's right. If you want someone to tell you what exercises to do, you go hire an exercise person. Mm-hmm. Go hire yourself a neuro exercise coach if that's what you want, or you go read a book. You go do something, but don't expect the movement disorder specialist to spend 3 hours of his day explaining it to you.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
But
because he doesn't have 3 hours.
No.
Well, going back to the conference, I'm always amazed that in the state of Delaware, there's only 2 movement disorder specialists. And I live in lower Delaware, and they're in upper Delaware, which is a 2.5 hour drive. And I'm just amazed at the lack of neurologists, or especially movement disorder neurologies that are not out there.
Okay, in the entire state of Georgia, which is infinitely larger than Delaware, it's the largest state east of the Mississippi. There are only 2 places that have movement disorder specialists, Augusta and Atlanta. There are no movement disorder specialists in southern Georgia at all. There are no movement disorder specialists in upstate South Carolina. There are people who travel 4 hours to see the movement disorder specialist that I travel 15 minutes to see.
Well, one of the ambassadors, I don't know, her name is Carrie Howard. I don't know if you've ever.
You told me about her.
She lives in Alaska. She's got to take an airplane flight out of Alaska to the States to see her doctors. An airplane flight. Yeah,
so if you're in Savannah, Georgia, to see a movement disorder specialist, you either have to come to Augusta, which is a 2.5 hour drive, or you have to go to Charleston, which is a 2.5 hour drive, or you have to go to Jacksonville, which is like a 3 hour drive.
Wow.
And you're in a major city.
See, I thought just the opposite. You're going to tell me how many you had, not how many you don't have.
There are very few of them anywhere. Movement disorder specialists are very rare. And when you live near one, you need to really take advantage of it. And I see my movement disorder specialist every 3 months.
Oh, that's great. I go every 6.
Yeah, and it's wonderful to be able to see him every 3 months.
Especially since for you it's a 15-minute commute.
Yeah, I mean, I have no complaints at all about Karen. They take care of.
My wife and I drove together, so we left the house at 8 in the morning, like 7:45 for 11 o'clock appointment. Just make sure we had the appointment. We got there a little out of 12. We had lunch, and then we went and visited her mother-in-law, whose birthday is next week. So we took her out to dinner. But from something, we left the house at 7:45. We didn't get back to 9 o'clock. Even though I know we stopped for dinner with my mother-in-law, but it's still a long day.
It's a whole day event.
Yeah.
There are people who drive in from out of town and spend the night in order to see their doctor.
Well, this is something, I have a great insurance. If I understand it correctly, I didn't utilize it yet, but I'm authorized 120 trips a year or something along those lines. And they define a trip as under 150 miles. So I call and said, let me understand this correctly. I live in Delaware. I want to drive 2.5 hours to Baltimore, spend about an hour there, and I want to come back for 2.5 hours. And you guys will do that and it's free. They said, yes. I'm like, okay, I'm in. To me, I was actually looking to see, because of the fact that it's a full day.
Yeah.
And even though, I mean, I think I'm fairly simple as far as how the doctor who knows Parkinson's can pretty much work, because I'm in the main. In fact, I'm in the Jiffy Lube every 6 months, change the oil, kick the tires mode right now.
Yeah, it's as people ask how I'm doing, and my answer is usually how I'm doing with the Parkinson's, and the answer is, well, I'm doing well. It's progressing. That's what it does. It progresses gradually, and I can feel it gradually progressing.
Yeah, I think that's the same thing I try to do as well.
And my movement disorder specialist told me to quit saying it's slowly progressive. It's gradually progressive. and I like that better, because slow always makes me think of time. And I want to tell me how long slow is. But gradual, there is no time element to being gradual. It just means it's going to progress. We have no idea how fast or how slow. It's just going to gradually progress. So my hands are curving now. So.
And one of the things I had to change in the beginning was I said, I like efficiencies. I like understanding, and I know it's a progressive disease. So I see it as like a progressive
line.
So if I'm going to put it on a graph, the y-axis is going to go this way. And, you got time and you got the symptoms. Yeah. And I was having a lot of time. I'll be honest, first couple of years I was struggling to accept, because, I'm not saying it's different in women, but in men, it's like you're defined by who you are. I'm Justin's father, I'm Anna's father, I'm Sandy's husband, and now I'm the guy with Parkinson's. And it took me a long time to come to terms with that. But I was talking to one he's a psychologist that works with Parkinson's patients, and he made an interesting comment. He goes, Tom, when do you see yourself in a wheelchair? And this is something that you alluded to earlier. I said, I really don't. He goes, well, you're going to be in a wheelchair at some point, because all old people are in a wheelchair. So basically, stop thinking what's going to happen. It's like your thing with the arthritis. Go see somebody. So when he's put it in that respect, I'm like, yeah, I'll be in a wheelchair someday, possibly, but so will everybody else. And I just come to a point that you accept acceptance is, I think, the hardest thing in this thing.
I tell people this way, you've got X number of years. Everyone on earth has X number of years. No one knows what the X is. No one will ever know what the X is. So I've got X number of years to live my life as best I can live it.
Yeah, one of the things my wife and I are looking at is we're going to start. She's retired. I'm retired. We're going to start trying to do our traveling now, when I can more easily travel and wait 10 years or whatever, when it may be more difficult for me. If in all possible, maybe more difficult. But I told somebody once, they were like seeing the glass is half empty thing. I'm like, well, you may see the glass is half empty. And I agree with you. I see the glass is half empty too, but I'm trying to fill it. I'm not trying to drain it. I'm trying to fill it. Because in a sense, life is glass half empty. You got Parkinson's, your glass is half empty. Are you going to just sit there and watch the glass drain out, or are you going to try to fill it and make it better? I'm going to fill it.
Yep. Well, sounds good. I sure enjoyed chatting with you, Tom.
Same with you, Jim. I mean, an hour went. So give me one more Jeopardy question.
Oh, what do you want? Terms, exercise? I can't do the people, because those are pictures.
Okay, let's do the exercise. People: Muhammad Ali, Michael Fox, the Pope.
Nope.
Janet Reno.
So what number you want? Let me give you the middle one here.
Okay.
Cooking a new recipe, word searches, or card games?
I like cooking a new recipe.
No, this is the category is exercises.
Oh, cooking. Okay. Oh, God. So what's in common with all three? Give me the three again. Cooking, exercising, card games.
Yeah.
Cooking, exercise. I don't know.
What are good mental exercises?
I'm trying to think something that I like that, because that's true. I like to cook.
Try another one. Singing, reading out loud, saying names of states and capitals loudly.
What is like the big and loud program in a sense?
Yeah, good speech.
Exercising your speech.
Exercises. Yeah. So those are the kind of.
I know my wife can't wait for my voice to go down lower where people can't hear me. That's the only thing about Parkinson's that she's looking forward to.
Yeah. Not going to happen.
Nope.
Listen, Tom, take care of yourself.
Take care, Jim. Pleasure. See you later, my friend.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Everybody out there, just have today's World Parkinson's Day. If you're watching this and you know somebody with Parkinson's, please send this along to them, because, at the end, we're having a nice conversation, but hopefully you can learn something from this conversation and you can add to it. And just remember, You are not Parkinson's. Parkinson's is something I think Jim taught this to me very well. Parkinson's is something you have. It's not who you are. Don't live your life as if you're somebody with Parkinson's, because you're true that you have Parkinson's, but live your life as who you are and who you want to be.
Amen.
On that note, my friend, you guys have a great day. And remember, go find someone with Parkinson's and give them a hug. See y'all later.
Bye-bye.